Week 17 strategies next on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Welcome to FFT in 5. I'm Chris Towers here with Dave Richard, and you did it. You made it to your championship week, but now you've got some questions about how to handle your lineup, what you're going to do, whether with teams who might be resting players, whether that's a concern, and more. So we're going to talk about some of those big questions right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. And first one up is, Dave, are there any teams that we're worried about, resting players in week 17? It'll be a concern in week 18 for sure, but what about week 17?
Week 18 is going to be a nightmare. This is why you don't have your fantasy championship in week 18. Week 17 will be a potential nightmare for two teams. The Titans have absolutely nothing to gain. Neither do the Jaguars, but the Titans are banged up on both sides of the football. So they could opt to use this week to rest a bunch of their injured starters. We're talking about Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry. Those guys are on defense. And then there's one other guy, Chris. Not Ryan Tannehill, the other guy.
No, the other guy on their offense. Derrick Henry.
Oh, yes, Derrick Henry. Now he practiced on a limited basis on Tuesday. We'll see how they list him on Wednesday. And I'm sure we'll get some reports about what they'll do with him on Thursday. If you look at my rankings, I've got him as a number 2 running back this week. If you look at Jamie's rankings, I don't believe Jamie even has him right because Jamie believes that he's not going to play. You need to keep your eyes on this. You need to have a backup plan in place if you've got Derrick Henry on your fantasy team. Now, will the Jaguars follow suit and potentially rest their guys like Travis Etienne and maybe even Trevor Lawrence? I'm leaning no on Lawrence for sure, and on Etienne. It's a maybe. One of the smart things you could do if you've got Etienne and you're planning on starting him, go grab JaMychal Hasty. That would be the running back that would replace him. It could be possible that they just rest Etienne, who's starting to look better over the last couple of games, but he's got a foot injury, and that he's exactly the bulkiest, toughest, strongest dude on the planet. Maybe they give Hasty a little bit more run. There's also the chance that both teams could say, no, we're playing all of our starters. And then by the third quarter, they're out of there.
Yeah.
That their important game, both teams, is in week 18.
Yeah, and there is some precedent here for the Titans. Derrick Henry in 2019 had a foot injury in week 16. They rested him for that one. He came back, rushed for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Texans in week 17. For our purposes, that wasn't so helpful. But, I will ask, if Derrick Henry was out, where would you rank Hassan Haskins, who I would assume would be the starter for the Titans?
I would assume he'd be the starter. I'm not certain he would be an every down running back, although they might treat this game like it's a preseason game.
Yeah.
And he would be in the neighborhood of like a number 3 running back. Low upside. I'm thinking the upside might be 10 points, PPR or non-PPR.
All right. The other situation to watch in that Thursday night game, because that's another thing to keep in mind, is that the Titans do play on Thursday night. So we'll at least know about Derrick Henry's status, but that's a short week, and that could be problematic for Tony Pollard, who has not practiced so far this week. Are there any concerns about him sitting?
Not yet, because the Cowboys still need to do their fair share to go and win games. So as long as the reports stay positive on Pollard, you're starting him as a top 15 fantasy running back.
All right. Do you have any other week 17 just general strategies? I know you like to pick up a good luck charm on your bench for your championships, but do you have any? First of all, do you have a good luck charm for this year, and do you have any other strategies for this week?
I do have a good luck charm for this year. I am going to announce it on Wednesday's podcast. The Wednesday show, it's always a fun show that Adam and Heath and I do. It'll be revealed then who the player is. Can I give you a clue? No clue, but it's someone who's available in 100% of leagues. So it's not going to be somebody that's like you're not going to be able to get. So if you believe in karma, you believe that the fantasy gods can be with you, you can pay attention to that. The other thing that you can do is just start the players that you're the most confident in. And that's really just, fantasy advice from week to week anyway. You're always going to start the players that you think will do the best for you. Pretend this is week 6. Don't overthink it because it's your fantasy championship. Just go ahead and start the players that you think will do the best for you. And as long as you do that, everything else will take care of itself.
We'll have a lot more player-specific analysis over the next couple of days leading into Week 17. But I do want to go with one big question before we take off, and that's Davante Adams, who is in a heck of a cold spell right now. He's caught less than half of his passes in 3 straight games over that 3 straight game span. 9 for 25 for 114 yards and no touchdowns, 2 catches for 15 yards in week 17. And he's got a very tough matchup against the 49ers this week. How are you viewing Davante Adams?
Did you hear what I just said about starting the players that you're most confident in?
You got to dance with who you came to the dance with, right?
You don't have to do that, but there isn't direct evidence that suggests that Davante Adams has suddenly hit a wall and he's become, AJ Green or something like that. He's still getting a ton of targets.
Yep.
Those mean opportunities. You're always looking for that when it comes to fantasy. Even though it's a tough matchup against the 49ers, you know that he can make some big plays. As long as Carr is the quarterback for Las Vegas, you should just consider starting Davante Adams just like you would any other week.
Yeah, the way I would put it is like, I think he's just been on the bad end of variance because he gets so many downfield targets, even for a very good wide receiver, tend to be lower probability. Look, sometimes you flip ahead 5 times and tails comes up 4 times, and it just happens. It doesn't mean you shouldn't flip the coin next time. So I think that's the way I look at it with Davante Adams. Probably not a wide receiver 1, but I'm still starting him in the championship. So that's going to do it for FFT and 5. We'll be back tomorrow with more Week 17 questions to help you make sure you win your championship. We'll see you then.